Barrett, welcome to the Live the Width of Your Life podcast. I'm so excited you're here with me.
Yay. I'm excited.
You've
I'm
been
with you.
talking about this for a while.
Yeah, this is gonna be a really fun one.
Yeah. So, those that are listening, Barrett and I met in January. So, we're recording in March. So, we met in
Mhm.
January. I
A brief
joined
90 days ago.
Yeah, exactly. Not even, I don't think. But so I joined a program, a company that you actually worked for at the time called Founder OS. And you were my coach. When I had my sales call, I was like, I want someone who is spiritually aligned to me. And the guy on the call goes, Oh, I got a guy for you. I know who
We
that
have someone in house who does that. We have someone for your woo-woo.
We have someone for you. We met and I just felt such just a kinship with you and just so comfortable from the beginning. And it was so nice to have somebody to work with me who actually I could be fully myself, talking
Mhm.
about things like awakening, talking about the spiritual journey, what it means to be human and also be spiritual being at the same time, all of those things. And since then, a couple of weeks ago, you let me know that actually maybe like a week or two ago, you left that organization because you
Mhm.
wanted to go full time on your business, which you were doing before as well. And so I was like, we absolutely have to have a conversation. And so I'm so excited to connect again because I want to hear about everything that you're doing.
Beautiful. Yeah. So Aneta and I connected Founder OS, and it's an organic content creation program. And I was a coach at that business. I had 50 other clients that I was working with, helping them scale businesses through organic content, creating funnels, building out your webinars, your video sales letters, your copywriting, basically helping people to build businesses through organic content and systems, building systems into the business. And I got a lot of really amazing results in that company. I've helped people scale from everywhere from 0 to 400K a month, and oftentimes within 120 days or 90 days. So very fast growth and such a journey to being an entrepreneur. And there is a blueprint to scaling that is a spiritual one. And it's really beautiful to see some of these foundational spiritual principles at play when it comes to making money and being of service. And one of the reasons why, Aneta, sometimes people get referred to me is because of exactly what you're talking about, which is that the blend of the metaphysical with the physical, of the practical with the esoteric. And I think when we see that these things are actually one and the same, and that the spiritual practice actually is so practical. And I know you bring that to your work. You help people really ground into the system of being human and finding alignment in that. It's so critical to building a business, and it's so critical to building a life. And yeah, it's been just the biggest blessing of my life to blend these worlds together into a way that we can be of service to the collective. Because at the end of the day, there's awakening happening on earth, and you're a
Mm-hmm.
part of it, and you lead people through it. You're a teacher in this process, you're an example in this process. And there's more and more of us in this. And it's not a competitive awakening, it's a collaborative one. We're moving
Mm-hmm.
into a new economy, a new way of being on Earth. This is an opportunity that we have never seen before on the planet. And it's a beautiful opportunity. It's an opportunity to follow our heart. It's an opportunity to follow your excitement and to leverage technology to build something that's deeply meaningful to you. So,
Mm-hmm.
when I talk in each area of your life, and specifically for me, I help people build businesses around that. But yeah, it's a wonderful journey. That's how Annette and I were connected. And so I left the organization that I was with to dive full time into what I'm talking about now.
Yeah. Did you have a knowing, or was it sudden, or was it just a repeat nudge? Hey, Barrett, your purpose is to do something deeper, something bigger, something, go fully in on it. Did you know for a while and you were just ignoring it, or was it more of a sudden knowing and you just took action?
There's two answers to that. In the beginning, the much earlier answer, so I'm 31 now. When I was 16, I started reading a book series called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, about 14 to 16. And I started having a spiritual awakening around
Mm.
that time. And fast forward a little bit, I won't go fully into my story right now. Flash forward a little bit to 2016, book 4 came out. Neil Donald Walsh wrote Conversations with God, book 4. And that book is titled Awaken the Species. And the whole purpose of the book is to call people forward to self-select to be of assistance in the awakening of the species. And it gives a roadmap for doing that. So I was in college at the time, and his book came out, and I had read, so I've been obsessed with this book series. This is basically my entire operating system for how I view life and reality. Conversations with God is a channeled text that came through Neil. It's basically a collection of journal entries of him talking directly with the divine and channeling into writing. And so I became obsessed with these books. I've read each of them 10 to 15 times a piece. And so when book 4 came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. I want to assist in the awakening of the species. This sounds so cool. And so I did what I didn't realize would happen is the fear and shame that would come up in me at the birthing of this desire. And so it's been a journey of about 8 years of wanting to do this, but going back to fear or maybe not knowing what I'm doing in entrepreneurship to be able to run the business. So I've gone back and forth between pushing to build my business and then having to go back to a job and having to go back to work again. And not that entrepreneurship is not work, because it obviously is. And so this desire, the question of, did I choose to leave the job? Was it an immediate thing or was it like a long-term thing? This is like a dream that I've had for a very long time. This mission to assist people in expanding their consciousness and now to assist people in building businesses that assist in this awakening. And so I've wanted this for a very long time. And so that's really where it comes from. And then to make the decision to leave, to give people a tactical example of how I like to make decisions. And it is basically, I just asked God, I was like, hey, is this the right time to go? And I was communicated to with a little intuitive ping. So it was an emotional resonance in my body that was upward, like almost like a spiral up. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. So I wrote out the resignation letter and then I put it into the communication app, Slack. And I was like, should I send this? Because if I do, I am resigning from my full-time job. So do you want me to send this? And so I closed my eyes, I asked the question, and I hovered the mouse over the send button, and I got like just an overwhelming sense of just well-being moving through the system. And so I said, okay, I'll trust it then. I'll give up my 6-figure salary to go all in on uncertainty again. And that's how the decision was made.
And then after you made the decision, what did you feel?
I felt a sense of like peace and ease. And so that's how I know that it's the right decision.
Yeah, exactly. I asked this question too, because it took me 2 years to get the courage to leave my corporate job. Like I was waiting for the right timing and it wasn't the right timing because I, like you, also check in and I pray, I meditate, I allow the answers to come in from within. And then the one day where it was the right thing, it was a visceral, like in my sacral, like this, no, I am not going to stay any longer. It was so powerful, almost like it was like a physical reaction.
Are you a generator in your human design? Is your authority sacral in your
Oh,
human
yeah.
design?
It's so sacral. And it was like a big, almost like a punch. I was like, oh, like it was
a punt,
a physical
a
reaction in
sacral
my
punt.
sacral. I was like, wow.
Your inner being is like, run, leave now.
And so I say that was the day that my faith was greater than my fear because we still are fearful. And I've always had faith and I always had the fear, and I allowed the fear to delay some life choices. And the day where it shifted and it was the other way around, I was like, oh. And then after I had the conversation and I resigned, it was such a feeling of peace, like you said, but overwhelming excitement too. Like, oh my gosh, it's going to be awesome. And then there's fear again. And then you go through all of that. But I think the hardest part, and I don't know if you agree with this, I found the hardest part is deciding to make the change. It's going in and saying, I'm going to make this decision. And then after that, we know what to do. You've worked for this amazing company that has all these systems and processes built. You've worked with all these entrepreneurs. You've helped them get the success that they need in their own business. You know what to do. Now it's just the
Mhm.
hard part is doing it for yourself.
It's so easy when you're teaching other people. The beautiful part about teaching is it really roots into your nervous system, the knowing of it. And
Mhm.
then going back into digging it out for yourself when it's time to apply the wisdom and knowledge is a different animal. And I was moving it, what I was doing a lot in that role was helping people develop offer clarity, which is
Mhm.
what do you want to offer the world for your business? And when I went to go do that process for myself, I was like, wait a second, I feel like a total dumb now. Like, have I forgotten everything? Uh, and it was cool because I realized why I was moving through that period of a little bit of confusion. Like last week, I was like, wait, what am
Mhm.
I doing again? What
Yeah.
am I offering again? And I realized, oh, yeah, I haven't felt this in a while. This is what my clients feel, which is
Yes.
so helpful for me to feel that and have some empathy again. And it really
Mhm.
rooted me back into the importance of having work that is soul aligned, having work that is aligned with how you specifically are designed, your specific gifts, and how important that feels to people. For me, putting that offer together is like, it feels so important. It's because it is.
It's so good. And I love that you brought up the fact how your clients feel. And I think that's part of the process as a coach is going through it ourselves and being able to just be a few steps ahead of the people that we work with. I think it builds credibility, it builds trust, it builds a lot of compassion and empathy for us as coaches to be able to go and do it. But also for the work that you are doing and so tied to your beliefs and so tied to God and the divine, it also requires you to do what it is that you say that you believe and rely
Totally,
on the
totally.
guidance and surrender and
Yeah.
let go and listen and trust
Mhm.
in the timing and all those things.
You know what the reason for a little bit of confusion was? I started like channeling into my journal. I have a digital journal that I
Yeah,
use every day.
me too.
And yeah, yeah, I know. And I started like channeling, what is this? Why do I feel this? And what I realized is the spirituality is so fundamental to who I am that if I'm building a business that is just teaching people how to build a business or
Yeah,
how to build systems or how to do literally anything,
yeah.
and if I don't include that piece of myself, which is where all of my success has come from, then I'm starting out on a shaky foundation. I was moving through this struggle within myself of what is going to be most accessible and most likely to create the financial result that I want.
Oh, yeah.
What I learned is that it's so important that we just move from a place of authenticity first. Every time that I've had someone really scale a business and go from 0 grand or $0 a month to 30K a month, or go from 5 to 10K a month to 400K a month, it has been because of finding alignment, alignment with self, alignment with skill, alignment with what you are called to do. And so I forgot that for myself for a second. And then coming back into that, I was like, well, yeah, it's so easy to fall out of that. It's so easy to try and use the mind as your
Mhm.
navigation system. And that's a
Oh,
really key piece of the entrepreneur alignment system. This new offer that I'm creating is to say, let's get out of the mind. The mind is a useful tool, but it is not the navigation system. It is not consciousness itself. It is a tool. And when we use the mind as a navigation system, it creates stress, it creates confusion, it creates all different types of chaos. So that's what I've really learned from working with people is that the way that you really scale, the way that you build a life that you love, it has to come from something that's deeper than strategy in the head.
I love that you said that because it's so true. And everything we learn in business school, everything you learn in the corporate setting, you work in organizations, it's really tied to the mind. It's tied to here's the strategy, here's the steps that you do, and you go through, and it is disconnected from the heart. And yet we know that to be most successful, we have to be our most authentic self. And when we are in alignment, and doing our soul's work and tied to our purpose and are able to deliver and connect in a way that is so integrated It defies logic. So why even bother starting there? But it is our instinct because that's what we've been trained to do. It's what we've learned
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. We've been conditioned over decades. Our entire school system is make decisions based off of what the mind says to do.
Exactly. So tell me more about this program because I know it's hot off the presses. You've made some changes. It's different than what you were doing before. So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit more about the offer.
Yeah. This is called the Entrepreneur Alignment System. And at the big early in this call, I talked about Conversations with God Book 4.
Mhm.
Conversations with God Book 4 is a roadmap to assist in the awakening of the species. And what it provides is a method to assist with this awakening. Now, the reason why you would self select and choose to assist in the shift of human consciousness is because it helps you to evolve faster. And so, a big part of this offer for me is that what I want is a deeper level of connection to the divine. I want a deeper level of awakening. That's what I find valuable. And I would argue that's basically the only thing that's actually valuable
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So it starts with that. It's looking for people that want to use their skills and gifts to assist in the cultivation of consciousness in others, to assist in awakening the species through soul aligned businesses that don't necessarily have to be coaching businesses. They can be businesses that are doing different things, but they have to be like purpose driven and heart aligned. And so it starts with this knowing that we're moving into an awakening as a species. So, how do we do that? The central mechanism here is building a business that is aligned with you. And there's different tools that we can use for this, but I want to talk about what Conversations with God Book 4 says first and like why it's helpful to you as a founder and an entrepreneur. So, Book 4 says that when you self select and choose to assist, you start to awaken faster. And there's a method that you can use for this, and it's related to content creation. Okay. So, the reason why I got the job that I just had helping people to create content, I now see as a manifestation for this mission. So, when you allow step one of this, which I now call this the awakening flywheel, and it has 3 or 4 steps to it, 4 steps. Step one is to allow your process to be observed by others. When you allow your process of awakening and evolution to be observed by others, you awaken faster. Your evolution deepens. And I am now being mentored one on one by Neil Donald Walsh, the author of this book. And I asked him about this, and he was like, yes, that's how it works. When you allow your process to be observed, you start to evolve faster. It's an accelerant. And he
Mm.
says that your awakening never ends, it just deepens. It's an infinite game, which makes sense because what other game would we be playing besides an infinite one? So, step one of this is to allow your process to be observed. You can do this through content. You can do this through a loving conversation when someone asks you. There's all different ways that you can do this as an entrepreneur. And so, your process being observed by others is step one. Step two is to understand that as others observe you moving through your process, they start to awaken faster. So you start to unlock things in them as they observe you. This can also bring up triggers in them. This is why if you show up really authentically in your life, you might get people reacting to you in all different kinds of ways. And you're like, where did that come from? It's not about you. It's them bringing up their own stuff to be looked at and let go of so that they can become the most authentic and aligned version of themselves. So, step one, allow your process to be observed, fully step into your authenticity, lean into it. As you do that, you start awakening faster. The people who are observing you, they start awakening faster. And then step three, the last piece is simply understand that this is a mechanism by which all of humanity may advance. So as you start to awaken faster, others start to awaken faster because they're observing you. And this flywheel assists in shifting human consciousness.
Mm.
So one of the central mechanisms for the entrepreneur alignment system is the awareness that this is happening. Because a lot of times people are building businesses without real intentionality, deeper spiritual why behind it. And so entrepreneur alignment system offers this is one of a collection of frameworks, but this is a really important one. And this also explains why I'm so interested in this work, because it's less about the money and it's more about the cultivation of my consciousness and seeing that happen with clients. Like when you see a client let go of a limiting belief, and I know you know this very well, when you observe a client moving through a process where they release a limiting belief or they step into the next greatest version of who they have dreamed themselves to be, you are impacted by that.
Sure. I love that. And I love the clarity that you have around this. It's so beautiful. You said something earlier too, and I want to come back to this because this is probably something that many of us struggle with, especially those that have been on our journey for a long time, is this idea of how much to share. Who do I get to be fully, authentically honest with what's going on? Do I use the word God? Like all of these things, sometimes these questions we have, and you said that you had some shame around it, or you had some questions or doubts around it, and even relationships are impacted. So, how have you addressed all of those feelings that you sometimes have when you started your journey and maybe to where you are now?
Yeah, that's such a good question. When Conversations with God Book 4 came out in 2016, I knew that I wanted to do it. I knew that it was for me. I was like, this
Hmm.
is like my soul's purpose for being on the planet. To help awaken people. I was like, oh, this sounds awesome.
Sign me up.
It triggered immediately all of the shame that I picked up when I first discovered the material when I was living in small town Texas. And I was surrounded by people who didn't agree with it. I was like, guys, manifestations are real and there's like synchronicities happening. And I was basically told you're trafficking with the devil, you have schizophrenia, like
Yeah.
all different types of stuff. Like you're crazy. And at that time, this was like 2008.
It was early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
So
were young. And you were young too.
yeah, my belief system, I didn't have a like, defense mechanism around it.
Hmm.
Like these beliefs were still very malleable. So the spiritual beliefs got mixed with like shameful beliefs. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand how to decompress some and keep the others, keep beneficial beliefs and get rid of the other ones. And
Hmm.
so this process of this journey to authenticity for me has been quite a long one. The Conversations with God came out in 2016, and I really went hard at trying to do what's in this book. I was making YouTube videos, I was posting content, and then people started like asking, this is in college, people are like, hey, can I just come over to your house and hang out and talk to you about the stuff that's in this book? And my nervous system like couldn't handle it. I was
Yeah.
like, I started to get really afraid when I started getting attention towards me. I was like, oh
Mhm.
my God, this is actually too much.
Yeah.
And in order to deal with that fear of being seen, I decided to run away from my authenticity. I
Mhm.
decided that I'm not going to talk about this material anymore. I'm going to hide this. At the time, I was like, I'm going to become an improv teacher and just never talk about this again. And I'm going to work with companies and I'm just like going to run. The consequence of running was that I disconnected. I became even more shameful of my authentic self. And I had to numb myself because I created a hole that could only be filled with substances. And
Right.
so I developed binge eating disorder and I gained 40 pounds in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. I was just consuming like anything that I could, from
Kind of
cannabis to
fill the hole.
porn, food, sex, alcohol. Like I literally just, I like snapped into this really addictive pattern. And I didn't know it at the time, but what I understand now is that what I didn't know at that time was like how to get rid of shame, like how to release the limiting belief systems and keep the really beautiful ones. And so the journey, I think the original question was like, what was the journey to
Yeah. How did you
here?
get release the shame and to get to where you are today?
So it's been like a 7 year journey, like it's almost like a 10-year process for me. Because right when I got the books, when I was like 14 years old, I wanted to tell everyone. And then I was like, that's not okay. That's not safe. And
Yeah.
then again, when I was a senior in college, I wanted to go, I tried again and I was like, ran again. So it's been this roller coaster. And I call this the authenticity roller coaster. And it's basically, I'll give it for my perspective. I kept being guided through excitement because I knew that excitement was my soul talking to me. I would be guided to full embodiment. I would be guided to like the fullest expression of who I am and who I want to be. And then every time I would almost get there, I would run into the ceiling of my limiting belief systems. So all of these stories would come up of girls aren't going to want to date me. Like, what woman is going to be attracted to me if I'm like so woo woo? Right. And so that's a limiting belief because there's a lot of women that like that, but still,
Right.
it's a story that was playing. And so I kept on like hitting that. And one of the things that really transformed my life starting 3 years ago was the journal practice. And so the
Mhm.
journal that I use now, I journal each day and I do weekly and monthly review practice, which is why I love your offer so much, Aneta, because it's so core to decompressing the limiting belief systems that I
Yeah.
have and have released a lot of now. And so the journal and meditation has been instrumental to releasing the limiting beliefs. And I think if people are following you, I would say lean into the practices that Aneta is talking about because it is a continuum and it will chip away at these limiting belief systems to the place where you will have a breakthrough. And a breakthrough is oftentimes not like you wake up and it's like, I'm totally different. Everything has changed. Oftentimes, a breakthrough is something that you recognize in retrospect. One of my coaches was telling me this and it blew my mind. He was like, a breakthrough is usually not an epiphany. A breakthrough is usually when you look back and remember who you were, and then you realize that you have changed immensely. So the breakthrough moment is actually the look back moment when you
Mhm.
say, oh, wait, I'm like a different person now. The journal and some other tools have been like instrumental.
Amazing. You and I share this practice because when I made the decision I wanted to leave the organization, but before I actually said I was leaving, when I started working with my coach, I think it was back in 2016. And I started this daily journal and writing and whatever was going on. And some of them
Yeah.
turned into anonymous blogs and et cetera. And this morning I came back and I tried to open it and it said that it was in my trash. And then I was like, what? And then I couldn't find it in the trash. This is years of
Mm,
like daily
mm,
conversations.
mm.
And then I just sat there and I was like, okay, a lot of weird things been going on. I'm like, okay, God, if you're saying I don't need it anymore, okay, I'm going to start again from today and it's just going to be whatever it is. And it didn't rattle my nervous system at all. I had a moment of this sucks. And
Mm.
then I went back one more time and I found it and I was able to put it back. And I was like, I would have been okay, but I'm so glad that I still have this as reference because
Yeah.
my whole first book came from things that I was writing daily and the conversations I was having with God. And then the idea for the second book was also like, go back to your writing.
I actually didn't realize that. Yeah. So you've actually been practicing this awakening flywheel idea.
Yes.
So I imagine you were like, when I talked to you, I said it in the email that I connected you with Kristen, our mutual friend. I was like, Aneta's like the most nurturing, calming person I've experienced, like my nervous system has ever encountered, I think I said. And
Oh
I
gosh.
imagine it's from that sharing of your process. Like, how has that been for you?
Oh, thank you. First of all, it's so sweet of you to say, yeah, it feels also got the call to write the first book. And then
Mm,
I sat on it for 6 months for the same reasons that you mentioned. There's
mm,
a little bit of who am I and all the stuff. And then I heard God let me sit on it for 6 months. And then again in a meditation, it was like such a deep go
it's
publish your
time.
book. It was
It's
like, it
time.
was just go publish your book
Yeah.
and you need to get it done before the end of the year. And this was like October and I got to find an editor. It was like a
Mhm,
whole thing. And I said, okay, God, send me the editor you want me to work with. I went to
mhm,
Upworks, found the first profile of this guy, George. And then I messaged him and I was like, hey, do you do spiritual books? He goes, oh my God, that's all that I do and esoteric stuff. I'm like, let's connect. Loved
mhm.
him. And I was, okay, you're the guy. And guess what? God said we have to do this before the end of the year. And I told him that. He was like,
He's
and
like, perfect.
he goes, let me see, let's take a look. And then he came back and this is the cleanest book I've ever had to edit. Like it was in a good shape already. And then
Wow.
he said, you're going to get your Christmas wish. And
That's so interesting how you channeled that and then it was the cleanest book
totally.
he's edited.
Oh, it was so
So
funny.
wild.
I know. And then,
If anyone has ever written a book, like I haven't, but I imagine the organization of things and the editor being like, how are these ideas organized? The
it was
fact that
so
he said it
fast.
was the cleanest book he's edited, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it was so funny. And it was just so perfect when you talked about synchronicities happening. So George stays up late and he lives in Seattle. I'm Eastern time zone, he's Pacific. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. George stays up till 2 in the morning. So he literally would email it to me. I'd wake up and it would be in my inbox. I would do all my stuff. I'd send
Wow.
he'd have all day to look at it. And it was like the most beautiful dance and it was fast and it happened. And yeah. So
That's what I often see. We talked about how I help people scale businesses. That's what I really look for as a
yeah.
coach is that kind of stuff. When
Hmm.
I start seeing that happen, I'm like, sweet, we're on the right track. This is what alignment actually looks like. So when we talk about entrepreneur alignment system, how do you know what alignment looks like? It looks like
Right.
that. It's like you
Yeah.
have manifestations come through and the universe starts helping you. If you're
Yeah.
not seeing that, it's not bad, right? It just means that there's probably more flow available to you somewhere. And when you really start to see, that's breadcrumbs of abundance that are coming to you.
Yeah, and it is. And alignment just feels like certainty for me. It's just a knowing so deep in my bones that, okay, I have some instruction here that I probably need to see about and I need to
Mm.
do it. And then
Yeah,
second, but
instruction, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it comes through and you're like, oh,
Oh,
wow, God is my boss. I like to say if you're looking for a job, God is always hiring.
yeah, it's so true. And so for you with this beautiful program that you have, tell me who are some of your ideal clients, the people that maybe there's some entrepreneurs listening and they're like, I'm very mission driven. Maybe they feel that they are called to do something bigger than what they were doing before. What do they look like? Who are they? Maybe even share some examples of different types of folks that you've worked
Mhm.
with.
Yeah, I have worked with all different types of clients. I find that people that are entrepreneurs that are wanting to get organized and aligned in their business are the best fit. If you are someone that is looking for organization, alignment in the business spiritually, the removal or release of limiting beliefs, if you want something that feels simplified, because a lot of times online programs for building businesses can feel like a whole lot of curriculum and not that many tangible, usable systems where if you're using it over and over again. I find that the clients like working with me for developing clarity and like a simple step by step process that makes sense and feels aligned to your nervous system. So, clients that are typically business owners doing anywhere from I've helped people scale from 0 to 30K a month. I've also helped people go from like I said 5 to 10K a month to 400K a month. And so people that are business owners, if you have an offer already that you want to expand or maybe you have something that you're really excited about seeing the potential for, I help people to scale while also staying aligned spiritually.
Mhm.
I think that those things actually cannot really be separated. At every level of scale as an entrepreneur, you are going to run into limiting beliefs and you're also going to need improved systems each time. So at each level of scale, getting organized. If we're going to delegate to another human, are we organized? Do we have standard operating procedures? Are we clear on the
Yeah.
values of the business? Is this person actually a good fit for the business? If you're making content as an entrepreneur, are you organized with your content strategy? Where are we housing content ideas? Is this coming out in a consistent way? Is it feeling aligned to you? So, working with entrepreneurs that want to scale using content creation, using modern marketing, and probably using information products to help you scale your business.
I love it. And if folks are interested in working with you, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you or to learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Barrett Vickery. That's BarretVickery. And I should probably have a landing page up at the time of this publishing of the podcast. So you can go to entrepreneuralignmentsystem.com.
There you go. A little fire under the feet
Uh-huh.
to
Yeah.
get that going. No, it's
Yeah.
perfect. And Barrett, I ask everyone on the podcast a question that's tied to the title of this podcast. What does it mean to you to live the width of your life?
Mm. I have clients track their level of emotional well-being each day on the vibrational scale, on the Hawkins scale is another word for
Mhm.
it. Maybe you've seen it if you've read Power versus or Power versus Force. I just bought that book.
Yeah.
Living the width to me means loving the full frequency of your life. The very high highs when you're living at plus 10, pure joy, pure alignment, pure love,
Mhm.
pure authenticity. Those are all very high levels of frequency. And also seeing the perfection at the lowest lows, seeing perfection in the like devastating loss
Mhm.
and grief and shame, seeing the lessons that are at each level. I think as humans, we come into a physical body to experience the full spectrum of what it means to be a human being. And it's very easy to use spirituality to bypass negative emotion, use spiritual platitudes to bypass negative emotion. But what I have seen in my life and what I see really work in the life of my clients is honoring the lowest of the lows and pulling like gold and wisdom out of those experiences. Living the width of life is, to me, showing up as authentically as you can when you're in that state of being, when you're in your authentic state of being, like really going for it. Be your full self. And if you have limiting beliefs come up, let's work on those to just release them because it is possible. It is very real. And when you do, you can be on a podcast and talk about everything that you love without inner critic chirping at you. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
place to be. And so living the width is being in that full authenticity while also deeply honoring the challenging parts of being a human.
So good. Barrett, how wonderful. I'm so grateful that our paths crossed and connected just in the right time.
Perfect timing. Yeah.
It was always perfect timing. I have no doubt that you are going to continue to deeply impact and change lives. And everyone that works with you is so lucky. I cherish our time together. I love all the help and advice and coaching that you have provided for me. And I cannot wait to see all the great things you're going to continue to do.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a party.
Thank you, Barrett.
Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for all the medicine that you bring to the world. And I say you are a gem and an angel, and everything that I say when I say that you're just
Mm.
grounding to the nervous system of the entire human species. And I want to see you continue to scale and get more and more people into the work that you do because it's so valuable and so needed. So thank you for your
Oh,
courage and your heart and the way that you show up.
oh, thank you so much. I received that.